right, it's summer steelhead time. Time for Scandi casting. Scandi casting, if you adhere to the Goran Anderson, Klaus Freemore style of Scandi casting, it's a formula. And the formula is we start at right at the top of our hip, in this case my left hip. We lift the rod, rotate towards the target, circle up, and cast. Scandi, it'll look like this. See, and I got a long leader on there and I blew it out of the water. So stirring the pot is very slow. Okay, and now it's a good cast. That's a good fishing cast with little or no effort. And I'm pretty true to the formula because it saves me a lot of effort. For fishing, for me, I have really short Scandinavian shooting heads, fairly long leaders, but not crazy long, because I do not like to do a full spay cast with, say, a longer line if I'm wading up to my belly. So I keep my heads really short so I can still do the Scandinavian cast when I'm really wading deep. I don't want to put much effort. I just want to go like that, because a long day of fishing with a long line, especially in difficult circumstances, for me, I get kind of tired. But for this, it's not tiring for me, so I can fish longer with less trouble, all that good stuff. Okay, so, but my Achilles heel is when I go to cast far, like, you know, not real far, because I don't want to do that much stripping, but when I go to cast a little further and I want a tight loop, probably going to be windy down there, my cast can get kind of an open loop, not truly dynamic, pointy, sharp, wind busting loop. So to combat that, I go back to the formula, and the formula does call for a little bit of a drift up for the forward cast. So we lift, rotate, and then drift up just a little. Not crazy, not a long line. So a no drift cast would look like this. Okay, and that flew good. If I'm going to drift up a little bit, if I just drift up a few inches, that gives me a little longer rod strength, and I can still stop high. Lengthens the rod stroke. Just drift a little, nothing crazy. Left. And if I drift up here, I get a more powerful cast. Another thing that gives a little more powerful cast is if I
flatten my stroke, so lift, rotate, out, around.
That had more power to it, because instead of circling around like this, I circled around a little flatter. I'd always come back to here and drift up and cast. Right hand, I have no problem. It's very fun. Left hand, I have to remember to sweep flatter and then drift higher. Like that. That was a good cast, although I'd prefer the anchor was a little bit more in front of me. But if I have the room, I don't care if the anchor's a little bit further back. There, that's what I want. That is a more powerful cast than if I'm just going, I want to go, still stopping high so I can mend before the line hits. So, it's kind of ugly, but it's effective. Right hand, I can make it look decent. That gives me a little more tighter loop, a little more power. There's some power in there because of the flat rod during the sweep. Just make your circle a little bigger. And I drift. Hit it. I might put a little more power in the very last part of stirring the pot. Stirring the pot is a slow thing. Like that. So left. Okay, get a tight loop. And I might speed up this part right here. And then pop it a little more on the forward cast. There, that was better. More power, tighter loop. It starts and stops in the same place, right at the top of the hip. So right-handed, where I actually don't look like a monkey humping a football. The nice thing about these lines is I got a bum shoulder right now. Just a little bit, nothing crazy, but I can cast with a relatively short stroke, and it doesn't hurt my shoulder as long as I keep to the platform. You can get it really flat. That's a legitimate Bjorn Anderson Scandi cast. But you don't have to do it that way. You can cast these Scandi lines like a regular spay line, and they fly really good that way. But the reason I use the Scandi method is, and I took the time to learn it, is because, and the reason I adhere to it, instead of making up little excuses why it's not a good system, I've done it enough that it is a good system for me. So, but the real reason I do it, there, that was a good cast. The reason I do it that way is because I'm a true believer. I think that Gordon Anderson is like a brilliant and talented caster, and I think everything he does for his cast has a reason. It's not a marketing gimmick. It's a formula, and I like to stick to that formula because it appeals to me. But you don't have to do it that way. The beauty of these Scandi lines is you can cast them using waterborne Skagit methods or touch and go spay methods or overhead methods. They're very universal and great for fishing.